Why is it so hard to spend money even when you've saved more than enough? I thought reaching my financial goals would make me feel free. Instead, I kept second guessing every purchase. Big or small, it didn't matter. I still felt like I was doing something wrong. Then I found a few simple techniques that erased years of spending guilt and completely changed how I use money. In this video, I'll share 5 unexpected strategies that helped me go from saver to spender. Whether you're financially independent or still on the path, these steps can help you spend money without the guilt. The first strategy is to start small. One of our favorite humble brags as money nerds is that we spent $150,000 on a camper van. Not because we want to flex about the price tag, but because we want people to know it's okay to spend money on things you truly enjoy. But here's the thing. Deciding to make that purchase didn't happen overnight. I didn't go from years of overanalyzing every expense to suddenly dropping 6 figures without hesitation. Changing your relationship with money, especially around spending, takes time. If you spent years building frugal habits, you can't expect to flip a switch and spend freely without second guessing yourself. That's why starting small is so important. If you struggle to spend money, even on things you enjoy, here's what I want you to do. Pick one thing you really enjoy and ask yourself, how can I spend extravagantly in this one area? Identify one thing to spend money on and just go for it. Now, I know what you're likely thinking. How could making one small purchase actually make a difference? Well, it's not just about the one purchase, but everything that comes after. It's the same principle James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. The hardest part is often just getting started. He uses the example of flossing. To make flossing a habit, commit to flossing just one tooth. Once you take that first step, no matter how small, you reduce the friction. You prove to yourself, I can do this, and it becomes easier to take the next step. It's so easy, you almost can't say no. And once you start, you often do more. Spending works the same way. If you've spent years avoiding unnecessary purchases, the first one might feel awkward or even wrong. But starting with something small lets you practice, learn, and gradually expand your comfort zone. Once you made that first purchase, don't just move on. Embrace the second strategy and treat it like an experiment. Don't just spend money for the sake of spending. Use each purchase as an opportunity to collect feedback and learn. For activities or experiences you splurge on, pay attention to how you feel before the event. Did the spending create excitement because it's a significant purchase? And after the experience, reflect on it. Was it worth the cost? Did you genuinely enjoy it? Were there parts of it that you enjoyed more than others? And would you do it again? And most importantly, what did you learn about yourself in the process? When we first started spending more money, we honestly didn't know what we enjoyed spending money on. So we tested out a number of things. Our friends invited us to go to concerts when we were living in Boston, so we said yes. We went to a few different concerts before we realized that we didn't really enjoy the loud environments or the crowds. Did we regret spending money going to those concerts? Absolutely not, because we learned something valuable from it. When you approach spending as an experiment, you immediately reduce the shame associated with these spending decisions. Because if you learn something valuable, you can view it as an investment in your future happiness. You might not get it right on your first try, and that's perfectly okay. Over time, these small, intentional experiments make it much easier to spend on things you truly value without the guilt. The more you experiment, the more you'll start to understand what's actually worth spending money on and what isn't. Over time, we learn the things we do truly enjoy. It's not concerts, but we do enjoy travel, outdoor activities, board games, and so much more. But here's the challenge. Once you start saying yes to more, it's easy to wonder, where does this stop? That was my fear for years. If I loosened the reins, I'd lose control and undo all my financial progress. That's why the next step is so important. It's all about giving yourself guardrails, clear boundaries that let you enjoy spending without the fear of going overboard. Guardrails give you the best of both worlds. You can spend freely in the areas you love while knowing your long-term goals are still on track. Think of guardrails like the bumpers at a bowling alley. They don't stop you from rolling the ball. They just make sure you can't end up in the gutter. They're not about restriction. They're about replacing uncertainty with confidence. When you have clear boundaries, you can spend without second guessing yourself because you already know you're staying within limits you intentionally set. Here are 2 simple ways to put guardrails in place. The first way is to set a budget category for fun. If you're the type of person who already tracks spending by category, this approach could be perfect for you. Create a dedicated spending target just for fun, things you want, experiences you enjoy, and purchases that make you happy. Here are 2 simple rules. Rule 1, make the amount meaningful. Don't shortchange yourself by setting it so low that it's basically a rounding error. Rule 2, spend it every month. No rollover, no saving it for later. The goal is to get comfortable with intentional spending and make it part of your routine, not to create another savings goal. Over time, this becomes a habit. You actually look forward to using the money instead of feeling guilty about it. If budgeting isn't your thing, don't worry. There's another effective approach to create guardrails. Paula Pant coined the term anti-budget, and it might be perfect for you. It's simple. Decide on your savings target first, automate that amount every month, and then spend the rest guilt-free. We adopted this approach years ago, and it transformed our relationship with money. When pursuing financial independence, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to save every possible penny. What starts with good intentions, though, creates internal conflict with each purchase, forcing you to choose between long-term goals and present enjoyment. A healthy alternative is setting an intentional savings target, automating it, and then enjoying the rest without guilt. This simple shift gave us permission to spend in our everyday lives. Once a year, we'd put on our strategic thinking hats and establish these guardrails for our day-to-day selves. It allowed us to declare with confidence, this money is going to be saved, and this money is here for us to spend, and we're allowed to enjoy it. Guardrails don't restrict you. They liberate you by replacing vague anxiety with clear, confident boundaries. Just like in bowling, you may eventually outgrow the need for guardrails. But until then, there's nothing wrong with giving yourself the framework you need to take action today. Even as we've moved beyond setting specific saving targets each year, maintaining clear intentions around our spending has helped us make purchases guilt-free. 2 years ago, after returning from a 3-month van trip, we decided to spend several $1,000s on e-bikes. In the past, we would have hesitated or analyzed this purchase for weeks. But we had already tested e-bikes by renting them on our trip, and we had a spending framework in place, knowing we had money available specifically for spending, not saving. I won't pretend there wasn't a moment of hesitation when deciding to spend this money, but making that purchase without guilt shows just how far we've come. Guardrails work well for smaller and medium-sized purchases, but they have limitations when it comes to big purchases. I can tell you now that having guardrails alone wouldn't have helped us decide to buy our camper van. For those major decisions, you need the 4th strategy. The next strategy for tackling big life decisions is understanding trade-offs. I'm not talking about the $6 loaf of bread at the grocery store, but significant choices like buying a luxury RV, purchasing a second home, or taking a mini retirement. For these major decisions, we need to understand their long-term implications. If you're pursuing financial independence, one of the most useful calculations is how a purchase affects your FI timeline. And let me be clear, the goal isn't to reach FI as quickly as possible, but to understand the trade-offs of your choices. One of the best ways to overcome the fear of spending money is to arm yourself with the facts. Run the numbers, then ask yourself, would I rather have this or that? Which is more important to me? When considering our camper van purchase, we knew it would be expensive based on our research. More important than the sticker price, though, was understanding how it would extend our path to financial independence. After running the numbers, we discovered it would only delay our FI timeline by about 1 year. This surprisingly small impact made our decision so much easier. We moved forward with the purchase, and it became one of the best decisions of our lives. Understanding trade-offs with an abundance mindset is a key component of what we teach in our Coast with Confidence program. If you found these strategies helpful, you might benefit from our program. We've seen how it transforms our students' approach to major life decisions. So if you want help navigating similar choices, use the link in the description below to join the waitlist and learn when the next cohort opens. The last strategy is big enough that we made a whole separate video about it. It's about avoiding one of the most common mistakes we see money nerds make when pursuing financial independence. And honestly, I fell into this trap for years. You can have great habits, experiment with your spending, even set up perfect guardrails. But if you make this mistake, you'll still feel guilt creeping back in. That's why we made this video. It walks you through exactly what this mistake is, why it's so common among people who are great with money, and how you can avoid it so you can spend without second guessing yourself. As always, thanks so much for watching and enjoy the journey.